from Nashville on stage, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Nashville, but all right. Welcome to Directory webinar number 39, guys. We'll get into the presentation today for Business Plan Basics. I'm surprised all of you are here. I thought all of you on the call here had a complete business plan, but if you don't, hopefully you guys can take away something from today's discussion. But anyway, so over to anybody. I guess I'm going to open it up with the just anything generically for directories or anything on BD or anything you have a question on. Or just general business plan stuff, I guess, that we can discuss as we're going through it today. Any general comments or questions on business plan stuff or any experiences from you guys on that kind of front, feel free to jump in with that as well.
I'm raising my hand.
Rich in the front row.
Right. So I do have a general question on just the directory. And I'm going to keep kind of, what's that? And I'm going to keep kind of harping on this until I get an answer, because I know it has to be out there somewhere. So maybe there's somebody smarter than myself. But the question on which we visited, I don't expect to go deep dive into it today, but just this idea of when you're matching the members of how do you there's got to be a way to, when people get matched, to put that member's profile link in the email, like Ryan, you and I have been talked about, and said you were going to reach out to BD developers. I don't know if you've heard any updates on that, but
yeah, that is not something that's in the built-in functionality. So I don't know if they were. They kind of said it was. I don't know if they're going to do it. Bottom line, but that's not set up in there. So I think I emailed you back there though, and just so anybody else knows, there's another developer that's already done a plugin for that, where it'll auto add that stuff in based on their profile into any particular form, not only the get matched form, but anything else. So for example, if they're filling in kind of like what the reviews does, but just any form, if they're already logged in and they go to submit a form, like a contact form for you for the website, it'll automatically put in their information stuff into that without having to retype it. Is what I said in the email. So to answer your other question, you're probably going to ask is it doesn't push the info to that person or in the email. It adds the person that's submitting the form, puts their information into the email. And so if that's in the form, then it'll get captured obviously in the form and get sent with the form to whoever it's getting delivered to. Does that make sense? So like if I had a field for name and email and I'm logged in, and it'll just automatically put that content into the name and email field without me having to fill it in. And then that would obviously get passed on in the get matched form when it gets delivered.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get kind of adjusted, but we'll follow up, offline to find out. But you said there was some caveat to that, the way they developed it, that it would cause something else to trigger, that you'd have to have a lot of things reconfigured or something, or not.
I don't think so. He just has a custom plugin widget that gets added to the form that'll automatically pull that from the database based on if they're logged in. So I don't think it'll affect anything. It just adds it to the database.
Okay, I'll follow up with you later on that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's about $500 in case anybody was wondering about that. So if anybody's either I guess live or listening to the recording, if you're interested in doing that, where they don't have to fill in some of the data on the forms. Because maybe you're missing it or people are not submitting it because they feel like they have to fill out an entire form. If for about that $500, you can have it kind of auto filled in based off of their profile without them having to do it. So,
all right. That concludes my line of questioning.
All right. I plead the fifth. Wait, no, I'm not getting questions. All right. Anything else? Quiet on the directory front from everybody. One item, if you guys didn't check out in the forums, and I'm sure they're going to go over it next week, is an interesting thing that they just developed as one of the things I had asked for in the last webinar. So they're Johnny on the spot about filling those in or capabilities, but they're adding something to the Forella editor, so you can input widgets inside of any Forella form. So, for example, there'll be a
What's
little
Forella?
That's the what you see is what you get an editor. You know, when it you could bold it or add a link or image that editor that's in the forums. And so what they're doing is they're adding a little button in there. If you click the button, it'll open up that stuff that's normally in the sidebar for editing web pages where you can drag and drop content. It'll now be available on any of those Forella editors fields. So, for example, if you have a field inside of that for your members or whatever, where they can fill in, the normal Forella type stuff, what you see is what you get editor. That now will be a button, I think, for them. Hopefully in the front end. Hopefully this is not just on the back end, but where they can click it and then drag and drop like pre-made content stuff in there, just like you do for the website pages. So that'll be a good update once they get that added in there. But I think they're probably going to go over that next week. So jumping in the webinar.
Actually, unfortunately, it was just bad time. But actually, first time ever, really kind of. But I missed the last 2 webinars back to back from Brilliant Directories. Besides that, were there any other headlines from yourself or anybody else in the group that kind of stood out? That was, a big news.
Well, they didn't have one. They didn't have one last week. I don't know if something happened and they didn't even have it. So you did not miss anything. And since the one previous to that was 4 weeks ago, my short-term memory does not last that long. I am not sure what was. There was a lot of good highlights, though, as usual, on the one a month ago, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I'll go back and watch it, but yeah.
All right. So again, as normal, if anybody has anything as we're going here for the business stuff, feel free to jump in there and just shout out any lessons learned from you guys or anything that you guys have to input for the business plan. Just real quick, feel free to shout out. And I'll assume everybody has one. If they don't reply, just so we'll make that caveat there. In case you don't feel comfortable saying that you don't have one, but we'll assume everybody has one. But if anybody has one and would like to tell us anything or say that they have a business plan or whatever, does anybody have they worked on in the past or done a business plan at all? Like, has anybody done that?
I have in the past, but
okay,
after BD.
Yeah, in the past I've done one.
All right. Did they help you guys at all from your perspective?
Not really. No. No. I didn't teach myself anything I didn't already know.
All right. Well, our webinar's over. They're useless. All right. Done. No, I'm just joking. Toby, did that help you out at all, or?
Yeah, I mean, it helps you to stay focused when you're going off on a tangent occasionally, and when you're wanting to try and bring
Good answer.
And when you're trying to bring in investors, they call you up on making sure that you're following it, or updating it at least anyway on a regular basis. But yeah, no, I'd possibly do one again if I could find the time to do it.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that today as well. A lot of times people, think that they need to do it in order just to get funding or whatever. They got to complete the whole thing. But just realize if you guys are running a business, really, you're kind of doing a business plan as you go anyway. If you think about it, right? Because as you guys run into different stumbling blocks, you're switching up what you're doing or what you're focusing on. You're making that conscious decision. You're probably just not writing it down in one spot and calling it a business plan, right? So what I wanted to go over today, and I'll switch to the content here real quick, is just starting to talk about business plan basics here for directory webinar number 39. You guys good on the slides? I just always like to double check.
Yep.
Okay. Because I talked for a half hour last webinar and I had no slides up and nobody said anything. So I dubbed over those in the replay. So if you guys were here last week and didn't see slides for the first half hour, go watch the YouTube replay because they have the slides in there. But so anyway, I always ask now.
Ryan, don't forget to look at the chat as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm covering up my chat there. So call out. I need to pay Frank to or one of you guys to read off the questions if I have them on there. I pay 2 cents an hour. First one to volunteer gets it. I'm joking. Not about the 2 cents, though. That was serious. All right. Anyway, today, business plan basics again. So what we want to do is just go over those basics, right? You guys may have done this if you've done a business plan in the past. Again, like I said just a minute ago, if you haven't done one in the past, you kind of are just by doing business decisions in general. So I implore you to write those down, put them in a spot, and kind of make a concerted effort. It doesn't take a lot of time to be able to do that or add on to there over time, but there's important lessons to be learned about doing these business plan basics, and so that's what we're going to go over today. Now, last week, if you didn't join us for number 38, feel free to go back to the YouTube channel, again, directoryvideos.com to watch number 38 there. Again, I have all the slides up there for them now, but this is what we looked at last week is the top 20 reasons for business failures. We took a little poll. We eventually saw the poll once they got it up there. But this was the results of a national survey there of why people had reason why they had failed. And so not only we talk about the top reasons why the business failed last week, but we also talked about some lessons learned about shifting your business model or plans, over time to try to maximize the chances of your success. And we went over about, I think 20 different businesses that have shifted their model over time to be successful, and just ways that we lessons learned for you to do that. So a lot of stuff that we learned last week, but we when looking at why these businesses failed, right? All of these topics here that are on the list of no market need, right? Because they didn't do good market research, when they ran out of cash because they didn't maybe have a good profit model, or just see how much funding they did need, right? Maybe they launched it incorrectly. Didn't have the right team, right? Maybe they didn't have the structure down of who they needed, what they needed, or who was going to fulfill those roles, et cetera, et cetera. All of these things generally and can be, not always will be, but can be avoided by having a business plan made ahead of time to anticipate and or come up with remedies on how you could get around these potential issues, or at least have a predetermined plan in place before you're in that tight spot for time for business death, basically, in order to make decisions. You do the planning ahead of time before you have to get there. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is the business plan. And just like this graphic shows there's a lot of stuff as part of a business plan. So we're going to do this over the next several weeks here, just kind of talk about all the different aspects of a business plan and kind of deep dive on there, maybe just kind of show you what you can do for your business. The goal after this one is not to have everybody write out a business plan. I'm not going to be having you submit it or anything. You guys can do as little or as much as you want on this stuff, but bottom line, that business plan, it's very important and a strategic for entrepreneurs going into business, and directories are no exception to that. Those business plans are basically like a roadmap for you and your business. It's possible to go without a map and just drive around, right? But it's going to increase the likelihood of you getting lost. I don't even know how I used to drive without a phone or some other directions or whatever. It's amazing how small the state looks like when you got one of those atlases. I have no idea how my parents got around driving anywhere without a phone there, because I get lost, or maybe we're just that much more efficient because we can go straight to where we're at, right? But that's what a business plan does for you and your business. It provides those hopefully turn-by-turn directions when you get from where you are now to where your ultimate success is, and that's what the business plan helps you do. So, so when thinking about that map thing, so rather than, sticking yourself in, position where you have to stop and ask for directions, or, circle back and drive, how many times you have to turn around and drive back because you took a wrong turn or whatever. Using this business plan for entrepreneurs, basically, it helps you guide yourself there, see the bigger picture, right? Zoom out a little bit as opposed to your dug down focus where you're at now in the business thing. Kind of show you you are here on the map, right? The old map in the mall kind of thing, where you can kind of see where you're at in your overall plan to see and or refocus, right? Toby just mentioned that, to kind of see that, make sure you're on the right path, that you're following what you said you were going to do, so you know where you're at and where you need to go, and hopefully improve your overall likelihood of success. So that's the ultimate goal for those business plans.
Right. I don't know if your screen is changing. You're still seeing the business plan.
Yeah, no, I'm just talking.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the mall map or whatever. Yeah, and GPS.
No, I don't have a picture of a mall map or a GPS. I'll throw it up there for next time. All right.
No worries.
Slide. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to be on this one for a while in case you think I'm not moving slides. I'm just going to kind of go into these things. So, why develop a business plan? That may be you asking yourself that right now. Like, why do I need to do a business plan, or why am I going to develop that one? Not necessary, right? We kind of threw out a couple examples there as we started talking. But the biggest first one is just decision making, right? It's to help you with those critical decisions. So, business plans have a lot of different purposes, right? The primary importance of that business plan is to help you guys make better decisions. Entrepreneurship, as you guys often know, it's an endless exercise of decision making, right? You got decisions you're making every day, probably more than you realize, and crisis management, really, right? Because something happens that you weren't anticipating, and the crisis management happens a lot more if you don't have a plan. But you make those choices all the time for your directory, right? So sitting down and considering all the ramifications of any decision is a luxury a lot of us don't have, right? Because we're kind of in the momentary decision factor when we're making it. And that's where a business plan comes in, to hopefully put in front of you or the thought processes of making those decisions before they happen. And so building that business plan allows you to determine or answer those ahead of time. It basically becomes a forcing function, right? I'll use these slides as an example. I want to eventually do the training. We'll put this into a course for people, but I can't, we don't make the content unless we have a forcing function to do that. So if I'm doing this webinar, every other Thursday or whatever, that's a forcing function for me to go research or look at that or put my thoughts on paper and make the slides, right? If I didn't have the webinar coming up, probably wouldn't be doing the slides or putting them in there. So the business plan makes it a forcing function where you have to sit down and think about it. Think about the major components of your business, what you want to go in there, how you want to get started, what you're going to do for your marketing strategy, what products you're going to sell, what your pricing is, all that stuff that comes into factor. And then you guys have a lot of tough questions to answer as you guys are developing your directory site, right? We all do. And so think deeply about what your core strategies are, and understand those decisions of how that's going to impact your strategy later on. But you do it ahead of time. We used to say, because I used to be a pilot, and so you always do the pre-mission planning right ahead of time at ground zero when I'm not moving, right? And so when I'm moving at 500 knots in the air, I don't have to make a decision about what I'm going to do because I already know what I'm doing ahead of time because we already pre-mission planned, right? So that's the point of a business plan, where you do it at static, non-movement, capacity there before you have to make that decision when you're going fast in your business. I'm going to mute everybody real quick. Again, I'm getting a little bit of feedback, and I know that comes up before. So if you guys want to jump in, feel free to turn the microphone back on. All right. So the second thing under decision making that it does, it allows you to understand the broader landscape, right? And every business is not an island. You don't operate on your own sphere. Every decision you make has effects on not only your business, but the niche or your clients or whatever. And so no business is an island, bottom line. There's interactivity between there. And so while you might have a strong handle on what you're doing, right, it's equally important to know where the terrain of the niche is or your community, what's going on with your competitors, with the landscape of your genre of whatever you're doing. Because it doesn't matter what business you were in during COVID, that it probably shifted, right? There's differences in your niche right now that did not exist before COVID. So you're not an island. You have to adapt. But just by knowing, writing that business plan, it gives you a long way basically of helping you better understand the competition, the market you're operating in, both now and later. And we'll get into this in a little bit, but it's not a static business plan, right? Things will change. You will have to go back and look at this and see if you need to readdress what you're doing. And so it's not static, but it's nice to have a ground to start from and illuminate those consumer trends. The preferences, pattern disruptions in your industry, and other insights that are not plainly visible unless you go research or go look at that or put some thought into it. So decision making, that's one of the bigger things that this does. The second thing it does is analysis. All right. It allows you to iron out the kinks in your business before you expose your inadequacies, right? Or your inexperience or your poor decision at a later point, right? It allows you to get rid of the gaps in your plan. So if you think I'm all good and you lay it out and you're like, ooh, I've got a couple gaps here in my thinking, or I'm not prepared to answer that if that question arises. It allows you to get rid of those gaps. So putting together that business plan basically it requires you to ask yourself the hard questions, right, up front. Take the time to come up with well-researched and insightful answers for those, and know what you're going to do when it happens. And so even if the document were to disappear or you lose it or you even switch into another industry, hopefully that pattern of thinking about the things that could go wrong that you've made decisions on before in other business plans can help you now in your own example. I may go into it as we go here just to kind of show you guys an example as we go through the different components, but I actually had done a couple different business plans thinking about what I was doing when I left the military, trying to figure it out, going into business for myself. And even though I didn't go down that business path, just by doing those steps or thinking about those things, you kind of think about the questions that are in your brain. They're kind of entrenched in there. And so you think about those, right? Whether you have a business plan or not, it helps you make those decisions later. So you still take stuff with you. It also helps you to avoid the big mistakes, right? And so in those analysis, when you find the gaps, when you find those kinks in there, you can hopefully try to address some of those things that were on that top 20 list of why businesses fail. If you find most of them are addressed, like the market need, the lack of capital, maybe you're an inadequate team or you don't have some expertise that you don't have and you're going to need to pay for that and you didn't have that in your financial plans. Maybe you realize that there's too much competition. And I'll kind of give a precursor on this one when I got out. This is going to sound funny to you guys, but I was actually thinking about doing lettuce farming. And I'm not joking on that. When I got out, I was looking at doing my wife was into hydroponic farming. We had done some of that stuff at our house. And so I was looking at doing like a little container farm stuff here and selling it locally, doing hydroponic gardening. And so I had that whole model ready to go and it looked promising. And literally a couple months before we moved up here, they signed a contract for a local food place, signed a contract for a multi-million-dollar contract from a hydroponic system in New York City. And they built a multi-million-dollar lettuce factory literally 10 miles away from my house a couple months before I got out. So realizing that there's stiff competition in the market that totally shifts what you're doing. That may be revealed by doing a business plan as opposed to just winging it, right? And just going ahead out and doing that. Now, maybe it's pricing, right? That you realize that it's just not going to be able to get as much in the market you want in order to sustain it. So bottom line is it allows you to avoid those big mistakes. Third thing it does is communication. So there's a bunch of forms of communication here. Toby talked about this one, financing, right? If you're planning on pitching it to a venture capital person or you're trying to get a partner on or you're even trying to get money from your parents or friends or whatever it is, right? They're going to be looking at, if they're putting money into your company or your business or whatever, they want to know it's in good hands, that you've done the research, that it's going to be viable in the long run. In order to do that, you need to have those financials. But the business plan is a way for you to communicate that to them, that it's worth the risk. Sometimes it's just communication to yourself, to prove the viability of the business to yourself. A lot of times you want to make sure that if you're going down that path with your career and life and spending all that time and money into doing that, you want to know that it's actually going to work. And proving it to yourself sometimes is enough to get you that motivation to continue on to make sure that you do the business. So I think everybody here knows this, and to be honest, is probably more prominent for directories than anything else, is that a lot of those businesses are created out of passion, right? It's something they're interested in, that they love or whatever, and that passion can be a great motivator. But it's not a great proof point that a business is going to be successful, right? not all the time. Sometimes it does. Like you can make it persevere and work no matter the industry if you're just that passionate about it and you put it in that much work. But planning out exactly how you're going to turn that vision into a successful business model is probably the most important step between concept and actual business reality of it being a business, right? And so those business plans can help you confirm that your grand idea, right? This awesome thing in my niche, my grand idea actually makes sound business sense, because a lot of them don't. And let's just be honest, a lot of them don't. But if you don't do the work and put in the business plan, you're just kind of guessing. It also does communication for community, right? To communicate those objectives for your business. So you may want to share the business plan with members, or at least key components of that to the audience, right? Your clients, to tell them what you're doing, why you're doing it, and share that same understanding of your long-term objectives for your company, and get your clients on board, right? That business plan helps you formulate that message. And let's be honest, a lot of directories are missing that message, right? A lot of times you just get to there and you're like, I don't know what your directory is doing. Why are you doing a directory? There's probably really good reasons. You just haven't put that into a communication on the website for your clients. So that business plan can help you do that. And then finally, it helps with the employees and partners, right? It basically provides a guide for service providers as well. So sometimes you have contractors or freelancers or other professionals that are helping you with different tasks. And it does help to have that business plan in place to allow them to share relevant sections with them, right? Or basically making sure everybody's on the same page, right? So whether it's tone of voice for the emails, or what, do you want to be, are you serious, or are we about fun, and changing the tone of the emails? It could be the difference of what you put on the video, the avatar, right, that you have on the video. It gets everybody on the same page, right? When you kind of know where you're at, where you're going, what niche you're in, how you want the business to perform, and what your ideals and focus items are. So it gets everybody on the same page. So those are the things for communication, and that is pretty varied. The next thing is a roadmap. It basically allows you to set better objectives and benchmarks, right? Because if you don't, it's the old quote, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there, right? You want to know, without that business plan, those objectives often are arbitrary, right? And we see this all the time, and I see this a lot of times with people on directories. It's shiny object syndrome a lot of times, right? There's no rhyme or reason behind any decisions. They're just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, which is not necessarily bad, but it's not the most efficient thing, let's be honest. And so having that business plan can make those benchmarks more intentional and consequential, and making sure that the decisions that you make are on the path that you need to be to success. And so it keeps you accountable, as Toby said a little bit ago, to your long-term vision and strategy. And then those insights can give you perspective on how your business is or is not coming together over time from your original plan, right? Are we ahead or behind schedule? Are we doing what we said we were going to do at the beginning? How do we need to modify that stuff? So it gives you a roadmap for the organization. And finally, the business plan reduces risk overall. And so everybody knows that entrepreneurship is a risky business, right? It's hard. And we went over that last week on why building a directory is hard. There's a lot of stuff, but that risk can become significantly more manageable once you test it against a well-crafted business plan. And anybody that's done this can help you say it. It makes the decisions easier, right? It makes sure that you're doing the right things with your money and not spending it on dumb stuff that won't have an impact on your business, right? It can drive operational and logistics if you're that big for a business plan and stuff or whatever, understanding the market, your competitive advantage on the landscape, and reduce the risk just overall. So in general, the business plan leaves it less up to chance, allows you to make better decisions, and then just have you have the clearest vision of the future is what I put on there, a clear vision of the future for your business. And I think everybody would agree that they want that. So 5 things, every business plan, why you need one: decision-making, analysis, communication, give you a better roadmap, and helps reduce the risk for your business. So the next question that comes up is, well, I don't have a business plan. So when should you write it? And so these are kind of the generic answers. The real answer is before you get started, right? I mean, that's the best time to try to avoid those pitfalls, is do it before you start, right? So if you have the map or you do the old pull up Waze and realize there's an accident halfway there and you probably should have gone a different direction at the very beginning, that's nice to know at the beginning, right? And so before you started is probably the best time. Definitely you want to do it when you need money, stuff, or people, right? And Toby said that as well. Getting funding, you need to have that stuff. So if you need that or need to get some sort of kick into your business there, you're going to have to do it at that point. But then you're kind of building the airplane while you're flying it, right? And that's usually not the best or most efficient way to do that. Or you're going to kind of I don't want to say write the business plan to fit where you're at, but you end up just putting yourself on a map as opposed to having a map and realizing if you've strayed from it, if that makes sense. So that's always the risk of doing it later, but you definitely have to do it if you want money. And then if you already have one, or if you don't have one, I said this at the beginning of the presentation here, you're making decisions all the time. So start it as a regular part of running your business. It's an ongoing process, not a one-time event. And you can develop it over time, just like a couple weeks ago, and we're talking about the funnel mapping, right? You don't have to make a 50-page or 50-component funnel. It can start out with make landing page, send email, right? It can be that small, and you add on to it later. And so the best answer is now, right? Start now. If you don't have something, put some thought into it. It's the old, put some 30 minutes of thinking or whatever when you wake up in the morning with a pencil and paper of what you need for your business, and just do it now. Start doing it. Build it while we're doing this series, right? When I'm jabber jawing about something, I guess, that you don't care about while we're on this, start writing your business plan while we're going over the topics in the webinars. Use this time and start scratching some notes while we're talking. Do it now. Okay. Again, because the decisions don't get any easier. So what I wanted to kind of show you guys here in the picture is a lot of times, and you guys are probably in this factor, is that this is everybody's original plan, right? When they go into business, they're like, we're going to get all this fancy stuff. We're going to do this. They got information, ideas. They start drawing on there. This is going to lead to that. I'm going to have this big team, and we're going to innovate the industry, and nobody else has a directory like this. And I'm going to be so creative. I'm going to put all these blogs out every week. I'm going to do this, and blah, 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 blah. And this is what it looks like, right, in your head, because you have so much to do. And this is what the plan is, right, in your brain. This is the original plan. And then this is reality. Just going to make it up as I go, right? I want to get the minimal viable product and launch my directory. And I didn't make any plans. I don't know what I'm exactly doing. I don't know what I really want to charge. I don't know what features I'm going to offer. I don't know what my categories are. I don't know anything. I'm just going to make it up as we go, right? And so that's reality. And that is what it is, right? A lot of us are in the same boat. But in reality, it should be somewhere between that and this, right? You want to have some stuff documented on the business plan. And then if this is as generic as it gets, where you make it up as they go, this is and no joking aside, this is literally what everybody's real business plan looks like. They have two things that go in their brain. Like, I need to make money now, and I don't want to pay anybody for anything. So these are the two things that come up. I need money, and I don't want to. I want to pay as little as I can to do that. And these are the two focuses we go in our brain, and those are the only things that we do on the decision making process, right? So obviously, it's more complicated than that. Sometimes you do need to spend on money on some stuff so you can increase your profit more. But again, this is why you do a business plan, to know what's required, what you're going to need, what you're going to need to get you where you want to go. Because sometimes you need to go negative for a little bit in order to rise back up. And we saw that on some of the businesses the other day, where they just were living out of an apartment or whatever, lost a bunch of funding or whatever until they hit that big idea, focused in on that, and then took off, right? But the business plan needs to be more than that, right? You got to have a plan. This is kind of a joking aside. Somebody brought up a thing on Star Wars the other day in the forums. I don't know if you saw that. They said I designed the the helmet for Darth Vader or something. I'm not sure who said that or why that got brought up, but so I thought I'd bring this one up in the business plan discussion here today for Star Wars. And so if anybody's seen the Star Wars movies, they know there's 2 Death Stars, right? And so here's the Star Wars Death Star number 1, the first one, with a business plan, right? It's beautiful. It's round. It destroys planets. It was well made, well constructed, right? And it got the job done efficiently. Here's what it looked like in the Return of the Jedi or whatever with Death Star number 2 without a business plan. This is what the other one looked like. Oops, sorry, hold on. There we go. This was the Death Star number 2 without a business plan. So this one did not work out as good. Doesn't look as good, right? A little raggedy. I don't think it was as efficient. Didn't work as good, and got destroyed just as fast. So you guys want to have a business plan, right? You don't want your business to look like this, and we have the business plan, so it could be a nice, whole, round, good business model, and that you're successful. So when we're looking at this business plan, what we want to try to do in that chaos that we had in our brain right earlier, we want to try to put that into a focused model for a business plan. And so let's try to put some order to that. And we're going to go over the coming weeks, kind of go into each one of these parts of the business plan. First thing we're going to talk about is the preview, right? The executive summary, the overview. Is kind of gets your entire idea and plan into a nice, concise form. So we're going to go over the preview. And then we're going to go over the purpose, right? You got to put all that plan, motivation, and teamwork into a purpose for your particular plan. Go over the what you're proposing, what everybody thinks about it, and the market research and stuff like that. You got to get that purpose down for your business. And the third thing of that business plan is the actual plan, right? It's your product, it's your progress, your activities, the people, and then your marketing, sales stuff, your placement of the product. How are you doing that? So the third P is plan. And then we'll go into the projection, right? That's kind of the economics of the business. You got to know what you're looking at doing and how you're going to get there for your business. So you're going to want to look at the projections. And then the last part is the presentation. So once you have all that down, and a lot of times people will skip to the presentation thing or just don't even do that at all, where you can't give the elevator pitch, right? You don't have that presented on your website well of what your purpose plan and how you're going to make money is. So the presentation is the final part there when you basically are able to articulate that both for yourselves, for investors, or your clients on your website, what your business plan is about. So those are the 5 Ps of business plans that we'll be going over the next couple of weeks. So let me just kind of expound on each one of these a little bit further today. Let me pause here and just to go to the question board here. I just want to make sure I'm not skipping any. Has anybody jumped in with a question there, or any comments here while we're in a pause here?
Yeah, Ryan, Paula had a few, I think, and Mike was there as well.
Okay, yeah. Let me backtrack here.
Ignore mine at the bottom. I was trying to help out.
Well, I'm going at the top. All right, so Paula, do you want to jump on, Paula, or just or maybe the question there? You said ask set up affiliates. We may just get to that later if that's a BD question. And then Mike, if you're still on here, we'll get back to you as well on the site setup or whatever if you want. Since you're on first base of setting up the site, so we'll get back to you in there. And then any idea when they're going to update the videos? Are you talking about the replays of the webinars? I'm not sure. They do always throw one in the forums there. So if you guys are not part of the BD forums in Facebook, they always do throw up a kind of a cheat early view of that webinar if you did miss the webinar before they kind of scrub it and do that. They kind of, I think, do it in batches, which makes sense, to be honest, with all the editing stuff. They just kind of get in a roll and spit a bunch out at a time normally. So look in the forums there for that. Otherwise, they do kind of have a tendency to bunch them up there before they release them as of late. All right. Paul is asking the question: are meetings with me private? Do I share potential clients' ideas or info? So generally, I get to ask this question a lot of times. Just general, I want to say ideas are not, I want to say unique to you. I don't want to say all these things are generally marketing ideas, right? It's stuff that people have been doing since the end of time. That's not like that's not proprietary to you necessarily. If there's something on a project that you do not want discussed about your site specifically, I don't have a problem signing a non-disclosure agreement for that. Just let me know that. I've done a bunch of them in the past. And then we can talk about whatever you want to do, and I won't share that quote as an idea, right? But what I do always throw out there is that just because we do something to your site doesn't mean that it's not a generic request or something that would work for other people, if that makes sense. So let's do this for an example on a particular editing of a site. Let's say you wanted a particular thing added to the search results. Like I want a website link added to the search results where they can just click on the website on the search results, so they can go straight to the website without having to go to the profile listing and then the website like it is now, right? If I'm not going to pretend that I don't know how to do that, or that I haven't done it on another site. If somebody asks the question, or if they're looking for a way to do that, if that makes sense, that's not proprietary to your particular niche. What I will not do is if you don't want me to share your let's say you develop something for the dashboard widget or something in your dashboard, and you have a special layout or idea of what you want to do, and you whatever that non-disclosure agreement you don't want us to share, just let me know that, and I will definitely respect that. Hopefully that answers everybody's question, but a lot of times it's not as specific as a lot of people think it is. But at the same time, if you want to keep something non-disclosed, just need to let me know that, if that makes sense. Okay, Mike's asking on the training videos on BD seem to be not in the current structure. I've gone over this a lot of times before on the help stuff, is that because BD changes their stuff so often, which is a good thing, right? The also bad thing is that there's going to be some videos where it's not maybe in the exact right spot. Or that the picture maybe the structure is correct, but the actual picture is a little off, but the actual words or process is correct. So they do a good job normally of updating it. If you guys are in the BD support section and the question does not make sense, I just did this, or does not match it anymore, I just did this twice last week. There's a thing at the bottom of the page there. It says like a thumbs up, or like, do you have any comments? And give a thumbs down and just say, this does not match reality. I can't figure this out based on what you have there. This needs to be updated, and they will go and update that. I literally just did that twice this week. So if you're seeing something that does not match up anymore, help yourself, help others by saying, just letting them know that, because a lot of times they just maybe haven't discovered that yet, or haven't got to that. And if they can prioritize it a little bit better if they know that or made aware of it. So hopefully that makes sense. But feel free to do that. All right, and okay, so Mike's got a claim listing thing, so we can get to that in a little bit. All right, so let's. If anybody has any comments on that, on the business stuff, otherwise we'll go ahead and switch back here to start going through the different 5 Ps here in just a little bit more depth for today. So the first one is go ahead.
Before you dive back into that, I don't know whether, going back to your last slide, you don't need to go back to it, but it's a kind of a mind map, and I don't know whether you've got a tool that's useful for that. I have, and as a suggestion, is Simple Mind. Is a good tool that can help you create that storyboard.
Okay. Yeah, let's go take a look at it. Simple Mind.
Yeah, Simple Mind. I use it on a Mac, but it's basically a mind map. There are many mind map programs, but Simple Mind is good. I don't know what the URL is. There we go. That's it. Yeah, and helps you to create all of that, and then all the subcategory, all the sub arms of each point, each P, let's say.
Yeah, I'll be honest. This is that was more of a graphic. I'm not a big fan of these things, to be honest. These confuse me. Again, it's one of these. I think a lot of times different things that work for me don't work for other people, and the point there is to use what works for you, right? Of mapping that stuff out, and if these work great for you, that's good. And there's a lot of programs like this that can kind of prioritize stuff. And put it in different, and sometimes this is just one of the views, right, of the mind map stuff. This one comes to mind as well. This is one I have. I think it's Miro. And I've got a lot of solutions in my brain. This may not have been the correct one, but let me go see. This one allows you to, I think, put almost like sticky notes, I guess, in space. I don't know if this was it or not. That does not look correct. Anyway, I'll get back to that. Let me search for that mind map. Anyway, I'll find that later, just to try to give it an example, the mind map stuff. But there's some of them have more like sticky notes, I guess, where you can kind of add stuff in there, move around on a big screen. It's almost like adding sticky notes to a PowerPoint briefing or something like that, right? Where you just start. Mira. Did that ring a bell to anybody? Am I close? Did we hear something like that? Mirror on the wall. I don't know what it is. Mira fertility tracker. That is definitely not it. I'm just going to move on. I don't know where to go from there. That's not it. All right. Well, I'll come back to that on the actual other mind map type stuff there. But a lot of different products for that. And some of them are free, right? Some of them have cost capability. Kind of comes down to what makes sense. What makes sense for you. So on this. On the business plan, again, we talked about the preview of the executive summary. The one thing I'll say on this one is, although it's the first thing, it's the general overview, like an executive summary and the preview. It comes first in this business plan, but it's actually done last. And the reason it's done last is because this is basically that 30-second pitch in a paragraph form. Where you're trying to get the word out. And so if somebody, normally comes to your site, they do that, instant recognition check, right, of those 5 seconds to see what your website's about, right? And they give that 5-second glance and assess whether they can determine what your site or purpose is about before they decide to scroll or browse around to the rest of your site, right? Otherwise, they do the dreaded bounce and they just immediately leave, right? So that preview or executive summary for your business plan is basically that instant understanding part of your business plan. And so that initial paragraph is basically that elevator pitch in written form. So you want to, that's not the first thing you do necessarily when you develop your site. Once you figure out all your business and stuff, then you kind of consolidate that into like, what do I want that first visitor to see when I get to my site? And then you craft that and make sure that that's the last and final and ultimate thing that you do, because that's the first thing they're going to see to convince them to use your business or potentially sign up. And so that is the same thing for that executive summary. You do it last normally because that's kind of the last polishing that you do before you doing the business plan. The second thing, second P is, hold on a sec. There we go. The second P is purpose. And that is basically your mission, your values, and your goals. So we'll kind of deep dive in the P's on this one with 2 additional P's. This is kind of what the purpose is for you. You want to go over your proposition. What are you offering to the market? Your purpose for your directory or your site? What are you doing? And there's a lot of material to cover here in the business plan, both for your directory and here. But that proposition includes determining your problem, what solution or solutions you're providing to the people, what your competitive advantage is. Right? You basically want to be able to put in that proposition like, why us? So when you frame the problem and that you're the solution and tell them why they should choose you, that's your way of telling them what your vision, goals, and opportunity is for them as a client. And the second part of the purpose is to provide and or understand the profiles of your clients and the public opinion and market analysis and research for that particular product. So you want to know and research your industry and market profile, right? You would never want to go into business, hopefully, in a sector that you did not understand. I see it all the time where people do it with their directories, where they kind of get involved with something that they thought, quote, would be a good directory idea, and they don't know anything about it. They don't have any, and even if you haven't done anything about it, you can start into a whole different sector that you have nothing to do with as long as you research it, right? And know the resources, have the information, and can speak like an expert on that when you get into the business, right? Because you, in theory, are the expert that you're trying to sell your product or service to the individual. The other thing you have to do is you have to determine your target market, right? We've gone over this probably like 5 times on other webinars about niching down your business or finding out what niche you want for your directory. You could be in a horizontal or vertical market. You can be in a specific niche market, in a really small niche market, but you got to figure out what that target market segment is for you. There's no right or wrong answer to that. You just have to be willing to fulfill that sector, right, for your business. And you have to know what that decision is going to do for you in your business, right? You can't say that you want to do dog grooming for the entire world or the entire United States if you're not prepared to support and or execute dog grooming services for the entire United States, right? That has an effect on your business plan and what you're going to do. So don't just arbitrarily make that decision on a directory and go, yeah, I'm going to do that across the United States. As opposed to your local area that you're at for local dog grooming, that has an impact. And you got to make that decision by determining that target market segment that you want to focus on for your directory. And the other item you have to do, and we talked about this a little bit before as well, about knowing your competition, you got to know your competitive analysis, right? Whether you want to, you think you have a better idea than somebody, if there's a big market player and they've got more traction and they're cheaper than you, maybe that one little extra idea that you have that is the best thing since sliced bread that maybe nobody cares about, and it's not enough to pull them away from the industry leader that is cheaper than you to use your services. You have to know that, right? It kind of goes back into the analysis of doing pre-launch surveys or knowing what the market's willing to pay for, et cetera, et cetera. There's all sorts of stuff that you can do, but you got to do that analysis, right, of what your competition is, what your clients are interested in. And if you don't do that profile of public opinion or market analysis, you're going to be potentially going down the wrong avenue on your business. So when defining your purpose, your marketing opportunity for your mission, goals, and a vision for your business, you have to look at your proposition, what you're offering, and the solution set, and then also look at the industry, the market segment, and the analysis to make sure that is a good decision in terms of your business direction. So the third thing for the 5 Ps, again, is that plan or execution. So how and where will you market and sell your products? There's a ton, and we talk about that all the time, marketing, right? This is a huge topic and so many things that we can go down, but let's just go over the 4 Ps of this segment, the plan. So how are you going to market and sell your product? The first thing is you want to research and document your product, right? What merchandise or service or product are you offering, and what resources do you need to provide that service, right? A lot of times, obviously, it's more than just your directory, right? If you realize you need email marketing, it's that, right? Maybe you don't have a copywriter and you want to do blogs. Maybe it's hiring that person. Maybe you don't know a thing about finance, so you got to hire that person, or you have that legal disclaimer that you want on your website, but you need a lawyer. all of those things are going to come in, but the merchandise in this aspect is what you're going to provide, right? And so if it's somebody writing an ebook for you, whatever those things that you're manufacturing, product or service, it's the merchandise. What are the resources that you need to get that done? And so by documenting that out, you can kind of realize not only what you need, but what the costs are going to be, right? That's going to be coming in later on in the plan is, are you going to have the resources or enough money to stick through there to pay for what you need to get the merchandise? The second P is progress, and that's dealing with milestones. So what are those key activities that you need to get from point A to point B? If you're just getting into your directory and you want to launch or whatever, what are those things that you have to get done before you can actually execute it as a business? Do you need to get a business license? Do you need to get a billing address? Do you need to get a billing credit card? Do you need to, again, get that legal privacy policy enacted? Do you need to file for a tax code for your particular state or territory? Whatever that is, you get all those milestones down. What are the progress things that you need to do in order to get launched? But also, because remember, this is a business plan, what are those milestones that you are trying to hit as a business, right? To know that you're behind or ahead, that you're off track or on track, that you're doing what you're telling everybody that you're supposed to be doing if they're giving you some money to get you started in the business. So milestones, what progress, not only where you're at, where you're going, but kind of where you want to step stone across, right? The pond or river. What stones are you stepping on to make sure that you're getting there? Third P is people. I kind of jumped the gun there and was talking about lawyers and all that stuff earlier, but this is your people, right? Your management and your members, both as part of the team, right? So the key people, who's going to execute your plan? Is it just you? Are you being a solopreneur? Are you part of a team? Do you have a business partner that you need to have these discussions with or be able to answer to? What are those people that are contributing to that? So that may touch in the milestones, right? Maybe you bring in some of these management or other people later on. They come in later on in the scheme, or maybe they come in now and later, or maybe just the beginning, and then you're done with them once they help you establish the merchandise, get the ebooks, whatever, establish the accounting system, whatever. So who are the people? And then the final P is placement. That's the marketing and sales, right? So you have the product. You know what you need to get there. You've got your team set on how you're going to execute that. So now you have to actually market and sales. And maybe the marketing and sales is a person, a management thing. Maybe you're going to hire out your marketing. Maybe you're going to hire sales agents. That just came up in the forum the other day where people were talking about the worth and or opportunities for hiring a sales agent to sell their merchandise and stuff like that. So that's the placement. A lot of decisions to be made there. And this one probably, to be honest, flexes the most out of all these is just what are they doing to change the marketing or sales for the products. The fourth P is projections, money, and financial plan, right? And obviously, this is one of those that either makes or breaks the business. So it's the financial plan, and the bottom line is whether the amount of income in your operation will generate enough pay to your business and family living expenses to continue the business, right? It's just that simple. And if you don't have any money at the end of the day, you're going to go out of business. If you do, you're going to thrive. So that's really where the rubber meets the road, right? And some people can withstand downturns, obviously, better than others. Obviously, COVID became a reality for those people who maybe had the business plan or the emergency actions, right? In case of a downturn in business, those who didn't have a plan, probably out of business right now. It's just a sad fact reality, but it's happened to a lot of businesses, right? Because maybe they didn't have the planning done prior. So here's the three Ps for the projections or money side. So the first one is prerequisites, right? What are your financial requirements? What do you need, bottom line? And so this varies as well on the size of the organization, whether you have another job, whether this is a side gig, whether this is your only business, but or what your living expenses are, or current expenses, or what your standards and or expectations are. But everybody's needs are different, right? But you need to know what those are for your business in getting those prerequisites set. And then once you have the prerequisites set, right, you need to know where you're at in the current status. So it's basically what do you have right now? What are your current assets, right? This becomes very crucial when you're trying to make that decision, or especially for loans, right? If you're trying to get a business loan or something, what are your current assets, your property and investments that you own, and then the liabilities and debts, loans, or payments that you owe somebody. Like what do you currently have, both for your individual and your business? Because usually, although they're separate, right, those come into play when you're trying to get a loan or just trying to consider even family or friends or whatever donating money for your business as well. They kind of want to know where you're at. So this will always come up. So present, where are you at right now? And so if you know where you're at now and what you need for your finances going forward, hopefully at that point you can make projections. And that's the final P, your future status. And that's always in the financial plan for the business plan is what do you have left above or below what you originally had, right? If you're putting out as much money as you're pulling in, the projection is going to be flat and nobody is going to want to see that, right? So these are all critical aspects of the business projection financial plan, the prerequisites, the present status, and the projections, and that is what you'll be looking for to know whether your business is a success, both for your I'm saying investors, but I know a lot of us aren't in that position, but I'm just saying anybody that provides you money, or for your own self to know whether you're making ends meet for your business. And the final P for the business plan that we'll go to in the future is the presentation and the mouthpiece, right? Either you, right, presenting it to people for investment, or presenting it to your clients verbally or on a sales call, or presenting it on the website. It's basically it's you speaking in a convincing and persuading manner to make a person do something that they wouldn't normally do, or maybe it's against their better judgment to do, or whether they are not sure of whether they want to buy from your business or not, right? It's your elevator pitch for your website, or that executive, that final, push, buy from me, right? Either over the phone, on the website, in person. You want to be able to present that in a manner that is, makes the sale. And so if you cannot adequately verbalize what your business does in short order, either to a person on those 5 seconds right at the header of the website, or to somebody on a phone call or in the elevator pitch, or you're just not going to make sales, right? And so those are the 5 Ps of the business plan: the preview, the purpose, the plan, the projections, and the presentation. And if I think everybody looking at these things knows that, like, you've probably already touched on all these, whether you've made a business plan or not, right? You've already talked to people about your business. You already kind of know what you're trying to do. You've already made some plans about how you're going to execute it. You already kind of know where your financial issues are or success lie. And so I think everybody would agree that if you had this kind of pre-planned or looked at it or knowed where to make the decisions, some of those decisions maybe you've made for your business already or potential in the future are just going to be that much easier if you have it documented out there. So that's all I have for today on the slides there. Anything from anybody on that, just kind of looking at this either from hindsight or foresight there of either stuff that maybe an example of these things that you've run into that maybe would have been nice to know, or just an experience or something that you know is important, or something maybe that you learned on here or looking at that maybe you need to focus on a little bit more going forward for a potential future thing on the business plan. Any insight from anybody?
No, not that I can think of, Ryan. Yep.
Ryan, I kind of a quick question or observation. So, there's got to be some kind of, hybrid between what Toby was talking about is, some type of online widget, because there's, sometimes we get system, overload or, saturated system fatigues on all these different apps and graphics and widgets and websites, and log in here, log in there, and monitor this and monitor that. But, there is advantages to some of those where you can kind of track in real time if you, just a simple spreadsheet maybe, but if you can plug in, here's my current business plan, here's my goals, and then once a month, once a quarter, what have I, how far along am I on track, right? But the challenge with those is, we're spinning so many other plates. How many more things can you add to it and make it efficient but simple at the same time? And I'll finish on this. I was actually listening to a podcast the other day. It was similar, but it was on goal, achieving goals, kind of in line with, a business plan as your goal, what you want to achieve. But he was a consultant, and he was saying one of his big pain points or frustrations is he'll meet with big corporations, clients, individuals, map out a whole strategy, and they feel really great because now they have this on paper kind of tangible, physical kind of thing, whether it's online or paper, that their action plans, and they put it in their desk, put it in a file cabinet, and then never look at it again. So where is that kind of compromise?
Well, I mean, I talked about it in there, right? Where it's not like you develop it and never touch base on it again, right? I mean, you got to make a in the planning aspect there of when you're going to go, review what you were doing, right? I mean, I do that all the time. Like, let's say you have this big plan of doing a whole bunch of things, right? I mean, you got to go back and look at it. Like, am I still going to want to do that, right? Have I determined that that's out of scope, or do I need to reframe my timeline of when I want to do that, or what was my plan there? Like, oh, that shifted. Do I need to rethink what I want to do there, or am I on pace to do that, right? You just have to go back. It just has to be a conscious decision to go back to the plan stage, right, and relook at it. I mean, it's usually just your own fault for not going back and looking at it. It's not like it's disappeared. It's still there. It's just in the drawer. You just didn't go prioritize going back and looking at it, right? So I think it's just one of those planning things. You just got to do it, right? You've got to put it in your repertoire. There's one of these podcasts. Listen, it was not a podcast. It's actually a kind of a video vlog or whatever. But he was on a YouTube video. But he was talking about how he literally has his. You guys don't have to do this, but he's got his family basically on like a business schedule, and they've got a family calendar. And they have like a planned business meeting for the family every third Wednesday of the month is like family business meeting day. And it sounds funny, but at the same time, I'm like, that's not a bad idea, right? So it's on the calendar every third Wednesday of the month or whatever. It's family business. And then they have an agenda and they go down and they like take stock of where they're at as a family. And you joke at it like you're treating your family like a business, but I'm like, it's just having a conversation, right? So they talk about stuff that's important to them, or stuff that they want to do for the next month, right? Or that they want to do, so I'm just using summer as an example. Like, hey, what does everybody want to do for the summer? You guys want to go camping, or what do you guys want to do? And it's like one of the agendas. The next thing is like, hey, how's your relationships with your friends or whatever? Any issues? We got, just like discussion points, right? But it's in the calendar. And so, I would just tell anybody who has, spent some time doing this or has it in the drawer, the proverbial drawer, just put a flag in the ground there, schedule it, and just do it. Go back and review it, right? You just got to make it a priority.
Is my mic working? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
The reason why I don't use a business plan is because usually once you complete them, they become very static. I have found it much easier to have like a roadmap and a project board, and break everything in my business plan down into a task, and just work through them on my project board and move them back and forth as things get done.
But I mean, and you can do that, right, Frank? This is more of just stuff, right? It doesn't have to be in like send me your 50-page business plan with paragraphs, right?
Well,
you could just put notes in these 5 columns, right, and just stick some sticky notes in there, right, or like some notes, but it's still the same content, right? You're still doing the same thought processes or going over that. It doesn't have to be in a business plan. So that's not what
when people talk about what an investor wants, well, they want a business plan, although we could probably count how many brilliant directories users have to put together a business plan for a potential purchaser.
Yeah, and so I guess I should have caveated that at the beginning, to be honest. I mean, that's a great point, Frank. To me, it's more the concept here of what's in a business plan is still really relevant for any business, even if you're not writing a business plan, right? It's business.
It's tasks.
It's tasks of a business, right? You have, in order to be a successful business, you got to go over this stuff, or at least think about it. And you could get lucky, right?
When you have them on a project board, you can prioritize them. You can set deadlines. It's just a much more efficient way to do it.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of more the question I was getting to is like, it's interesting to hear different people's take on, now that you have, the plan mapped out, what are some, integrations of that, like it does come down to personal preferences. People are wired differently. Like you mentioned, that family mapping everything out. You're either kind of right brain, left brain, or whatever, but so, because I've always funny. There's a book, there's actually a book out, like the 1-page business plan, but it's funny. It's an entire book to explain to you.
It's not just one page.
Right.
I don't read books, so it saves me a lot of time.
But it's kind of like the word minimalist. Why is minimalist such a long word?
Anytime I'm reading a book is time I'm not working.
That's right. I try to eschew obfuscation.
A free account in Trello, and you're good to go. That's all you need.
Trello, yeah. So like that's what I was talking about, like Trello, or like your idea, Frank, of like a board. Like I actually have a board here in the the studio. Right. Some stuff I printed from BED actually of like the target, the daily checklist and stuff like that.
That would keep me from walking in my office every morning.
Well, I mean,
I don't see any screenshots of my webinars there, Rich. Was that an error?
That's in the archive. That's in the library in the museum, whatever. Yeah,
that's in the circular file. Is that the
museum? Like, have you ever heard people ask you, well, what do you do to keep motivated? Have you ever heard that one?
Drink beer.
No. What I do to get motivated, I walk to the mailbox and I get my bills. I'm suddenly motivated.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You open yours?
Science.
I send them to my email. That way I don't have to open them yet.
I mean, seriously. I go to my task board every day and seeing what I've accomplished, what I'm late on. And it really gives me a kick in the ass to keep going, because the person I'm disappointing is myself,
Yeah, I'd like to hear maybe
myself
from Toby or Chris or Mike, some of the other guys that like, either they have something current or what works for them in the past of like an app like Trello or whatever, or a written, the 1-page business plan. Because what you presented is great, but now how do you, what's the system where you kind of manage that? I don't know if you were proposing something, Ryan, but.
No, I mean, Frank, you're just talking about a Kanban board, right? System, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's all you need. People overthink this stuff. It's like, keep it simple, stupid,
A what? What did you call it? Kanban?
Yeah,
it's the old drag and drop. It's just like like Aura, right? Where you drop different columns for different things.
You change the priority of something. You change the color. Green if you're working on it, red if it's urgent, yellow if it's
So just like
you haven't made a decision yet.
So like a spreadsheet or Trello is what you're saying, or
no, it's columns. You just drag stuff from one column to the next. You name your columns.
A bit like the thing you use, Ryan, Aura.
Yeah, in fact, I'm gonna show you guys an example here. Again, I'm just making this up on the fly.
I use something called Cling, which I like more than Trello.
Cling?
Yeah.
Klingon. But
it's the same process.
Start with that.
So let me just share my screen. I'll just show. I did Google just in Aura. I just made a quick board here. What was that?
Because I use that for my banking. My banking has a widget that you plug in all your your payments and so forth, and then it doesn't just in addition just showing your balance and your payments, it shows how you're paying down certain items and what your balances are and all that stuff.
Hey, Rich, I don't need the.
Okay, so this is kind of what.
What's that, Toby?
This is kind of what Frank is talking about. Like if you have something like this about key partners, resources, activities, or I don't know, whatever this is, you can just make stuff in here, whatever tasks, and then drag it across or whatever. But this is a Kanban view where it's like a card based thing with different different columns or whatever of tasks.
My first column is things to do. Then I move them to in process, and then like if I need to get you involved, send to Ryan. When I get it back, have client review. When I get it back, job completed.
Yeah, and so you can do anything like that. So this is another example. A lot of these things have different templates on it, but here's a quick pipeline, right? To do, review, and to done, right?
Can't be.
You can do whatever you want. But this is what he's basically talking about. But this is more like a task management type.
Yeah, that's
thing
more task management.
Right, but what is your business plan?
Yeah.
So kind of what you do is,
what is your business plan? It's basically things of what you hope to do, what you hope to accomplish.
well, I guess if you integrate the P's that Ryan you were talking about, and you create, your goals and objectives and your different P's within there, then you can monitor the progress.
Yeah, to me, it's more of a note-taking type stuff, right? So I use OneNote all the time for all my stuff, but that I can make different sub things underneath there and sub folders or whatever, and I can just start typing or whatever, drag and drop images. It's kind of like a mind map, but it's just a brain dump on paper, right? I think is more useful for that business plan stuff than this a task type stuff. Yeah. So if you guys, does that make sense to you guys of just site or just stuff? So if you guys are looking for that kind of stuff, I'm just going to throw out some of those here for you guys. These are like note-taking type systems where you can do that. So NoLocker is one. Let's let that load here.
Check out Kling. It's very nice.
Hold on a second.
So NoLocker.
I think I spelled that right.
And Kling.com.
Yep.
Those are my favorite peaches.
It's free. I don't usually use stuff for free, but it was all I needed.
Okay, NoLocker says it's not a domain name. NoLocker.com.
Oh, well, I guess don't use that one then.
Oh, you have no spelled
That answers that one.
K-N-O-W.
Let's see. This one, Note. Just trying to throw some out there that I've used. Notejoy.com is another one. That one?
No.
Is it just Kling? What's the URL there, Frank?
I believe it's just, let me see. I got it right here. Kling.com.
Yeah. All right. I don't know why it wouldn't come up on Google. Here's another one. NimbusWeb.me is another really good one. And then Archb.io is another one. Man, my internet's slow today, apparently. That's my wife got home, so I think we're all surfing the internet now, and it's really slow. She did get me an apple fritter, though.
Nice. I want a corn fritter is what I want.
Is that like an app?
So is this it, Frank?
Yeah, I thought Apple. You're talking about Apple versus Android fritter.
Yeah. Oh, I think it just it puts little like Kanban note cards like that on your desktop, right? I think is what that does.
Well, I just have a window with everything in it.
Okay.
Speaking of fritters, when I went out to lunch down the shore the other day, conch fritters. Oh yeah.
Cod?
Conch. C-O-N-C-H.
Oh, conch. Okay. So anyway, this I guess knowledge base, I guess, is one of the stuff that I like to use. So stuff like this. So here's an example. This is archb.io again, but you can do different document structures, just kind of folder them underneath each other, make stuff, type in there, add notes to each other, highlight stuff, just productivity kind of stuff there. So that's that one. here's NoteJoy, similar thing, right? You have different folders or libraries here. You can just add content, and then you can have chat or notes to yourself or whatever back and forth on the side there. And then same thing for Nimbus Web. But there's, for these type of Kanban things too, there's, everybody said Trello, or there's a lot of, there's probably 100 of these task-based things. If you guys are interested in that. And then I'm still trying to find the mind mapping one there to show you guys, because that is a useful one to kind of zoom in, zoom out, look at stuff. And Nimbus Web on the same type of thing, won a lot of awards, but it's the same type of thing, right? Where you have categories, folder colors, all sorts of content, and drag and drop tables, all that kind of stuff.
So same as Simple
And
Mind.
we'll be part of the directory memberships for Nimbus Note, coming to a membership near you, but future episode there. But what was that, Dewey?
I was just saying it was similar to Simple Mind, and you can convert the Simple Mind map into a document that becomes your to-do list. You drop into Aura or something like that. I've done it. It works.
Yeah.
It looks like on Simple Mind they have Android and iPhone apps as well.
Yeah.
So
hey,
all sorts of them.
Right, I had a BD or a website question here. If you got a second, or
Yep. Let's go there. And I think who's that? We'll talk about the claim listings as well. There, Mike, if you want to clarify in a second here what you wanted off that. So go ahead, Rich.
I just noticed something odd on my site, and it might be easier for you just to pull it up and go to one of the members here. So you should really just go to the home page and type in Carla. Just an example. Then she's one of our new members. And then look at her profile.
I don't think all these websites are that slow. I'm just my computer.
I want to close some tabs. I got a lot of tabs open here as well. So while you're looking at it, explain the oddity is so she just signed up as like a real estate agent. So that's her main categories under finance and real estate, and yet arts and entertainment is coming up. If you go down to below her listing, you see her categories on her profile. And then it might even be easier too. Like if when we do a search for arts and entertainment, it comes up with
so 20. It's in her profile here.
Yeah, click on her profile. And because she's a rising star, she can only select. She's limited to one category, period. And so, she picked finance and then real estate. So that's all that she can qualify for as a rising star. But as you scroll down, you'll see there is where it has arts and entertainment, but she can only pick one category. Now, she picks the finance, and then she can pick obviously her subcategory would be real estate, right? So that's legit. But now click under arts and entertainment.
Wait, so what's wrong with this? I'm sorry. I'm not tracking.
It picked up arts and entertainment somehow, and I logged into her. She's a rising star. She can only pick one category. 2, I logged into her as a member, and she didn't select arts and entertainment. She's only select finance. And then, but actually, if you go to arts and entertainment, on the website, let
me just look at your folder, your category structure, because this is going to answer the question probably.
Okay. But yeah, while you're pulling that up,
okay, so she's a guest, arts and entertainment.
Yes, she's a guest.
And then she picked
finance, and but there's no real estate. She picked finance and real estate, so that's the only. I don't know why there's 2 there.
Yeah, I don't know. wondering that myself.
But she can only pick one. So when she checked, she was looking for real estate. It's under business and under finance, but because she's a real estate investor, she chose the category for real estate under finance instead of under business. But when she picked it, it also dropped her into arts and entertainment, which there's no relation to that at all, unless that second category for real estate. And now it's not just her. So actually, if you go to the very bottom of the site, you can see all our categories. The very bottom under member categories, and then if you pick and select everybody, not just her, but if you pick everybody under arts and entertainment for guest, then you'll see like 20 some odd people. And I know for a fact that a number of these people are definitely not in the arts and entertainment space. And I went to our categories, listings in the admin area, and I didn't see anything goofy. But look at these people here first, and I don't know if it's kind of slow. There it is. Okay, so these are all guests. So
here's a quick question, Rich. Did you recently change that to a lower number? Or was it ever higher than 1?
Yeah, I probably changed the ranking of the number, but if you scroll down past these people, because these might be arts and entertainment people, but below them, like I know Rich Hart is not in the arts and I know Rich Hart is not in the arts and entertainment business.
Okay.
And then I don't know who's below that, but
so this came up in the forum literally just yesterday or the day before that, but there I think there's not a bug, but there's no if you downgrade to a lower plan that has less categories, or the categories change to a lower number than what was originally picked, there's nothing in the system to downgrade them or remove them from categories they were previously in. It will only allow you to pick one, and if they resave it. So for example, let's say they're in a category plan where they are allowed 10 categories. They pick 10 categories and save. And then they later move to a cheaper one that only allows 1 category. It doesn't know which category of the 10 that they want for the 1. And I don't know if it's an oversight, but somebody has brought up to their attention, there's no way it doesn't strip them out of everything and force them to make the selection of the 1 item, which seems like a pretty big flaw to me.
Yeah.
You just do a test, add yourself to every category, and then downgrade, and then you're in every category, and they're like, you can only pick 1. And you're like, that's fine. I'm already in all of them.
Exactly.
So, Jason was looking at that. So,
see what categories he's in. Yeah. So
everything.
Well, I think he's a rock star, so he can pick all these categories. But you also raised another question. Yeah, if you looked at it, you raised another question when we were looking at the guest categories. Why real estate appeared there twice? That was odd.
I would just go check your categories. It probably is in there twice. You just added it by accident or something. So just be careful if you guys because I've seen this before where people have duplicates and they just remove one. Just be careful that you go look to see who has that selected on the one that you deleted, because it's quite possible that, let's say 10 people are in there and you have 5 in each one. What will happen is if you delete that other one, for the 5 people are not going to be in that category anymore. So
it does.
What you probably want to do is take note of that and then delete the category, but then you're going to have to go in there to those 5 people manually and add them back into the other category.
What were you saying, Toby?
I was just saying, when you do go and delete it, it does come up and tell you you've got 5 people in, and who those 5. You can click through and find out who those 5 are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. They did add that. Thank you, Toby. Appreciate it.
Also, I'll just add to that is that I have found that messing around with categories in the sense of deleting subcategories, then trying to delete subcategories, and then trying to re-add them, you have to make sure it's properly saved Don't rush off. Don't let the page rush off and go and do something else until it's actually come back and said that it's saved, and then go and double check it. Because I've spent hours one night putting in a whole load and then discovering that it didn't work out, and we had duplicates, and then some people were in one and not the other.
Right. So let me go ahead and show you as example. So let's say this one I want to delete it. It'll actually come up here and tell you, like Toby said, and this is fairly new. So what it allows you to do is it allows you to move them. So let's say I was deleting that advertiser one. It says assign existing members to another category, and then say yes, or you could just delete it and just ignore that. But if you say yes, then you have to go pick which category they get assigned to. I don't know that it does that for the sub level, so let's go find out here real quick. So let's
I think it does.
Does it? Okay. So let's go ahead and see.
Yeah, that's kind of goofy because I've like I was trying to give a couple people some extra categories, and so I increased the category level temporarily, and then put it back, to the minimum. But another question that kind of now
hold that thought, Frank, because I want to show everybody a how-to on that one since you mentioned that one. You do not have to do that as a temporary thing. What you can do is just go into a particular member, and so let me just click here as an example to show you guys how to do that. If you want to do that individually for a particular member, just go into the members list, filter out. Bottom line, just find the person that you want to edit. And then once you get that person, let's say Barry Cass there, you want a quick edit on their profile or that person. And once that comes up on the pop-up here, there's going to be an advanced listing details option here. And it does have a you know what? This is just categories. I was thinking that was
that's location.
Yeah, it's location. I was thinking that was categories. I apologize.
Yeah, because I did it on the member
that
plan.
Location limit on there and kind of override it. Make sure I did.
Wait a minute. Where's top? It had top level category though, huh? Under advanced.
Yeah, I'm just trying. Yeah, that's verified. This is the list and locations, CC emails. Okay. I apologize. I thought it was categories. And no, you know what it was is this came up before, and I think I asked the question. I didn't get an answer back on this. I don't remember what it was, but I was like, well, if they can override the max location limit for a particular person, why can't they just have an override for max categories, right? Override. So it seems like they could add a bunch of functionality here to the override type stuff potentially. Obviously, there's probably, as always in coding stuff, that's more complicated than it seems, but maybe there's precedence there that sometime in the future we'll be able to add that in there for individuals too, so you don't have to turn it up and turn it on and then turn it back. But anyway.
I just temporarily changed the member plan and then added those categories and then turned it back to the lower limit. But this raises another question. So in our case, the Rockstar, if you want to call it platinum level, the most expensive, they can pick basically unlimited categories. But if they downgrade at some point, and we move them to another plan, and look at that, the real estate thing. But if they downgrade, or those, what happens to the, say, I'll make up 20 categories instead of one? When they downgrade, there's not a computer or a person that's going to decide, okay, Ryan's downgraded from 50 categories, but now he's just a free member and he only gets one category.
Yeah, here's what I suggested to Jason. I could probably pull up the Facebook group to see if he replied back. This is what I suggested to him. What I think there needs to be, another account status instead of I'll just show you what's available here now. But instead of active on, not active on hold, canceled, past due, there needs to be an active downgraded or something like that, where you're like active, but you're downgraded. And to me, what that does is, let me just show you guys. I'm going to change I'm going to quick edit the status of this real quick. And I think you guys know that this is available. Let's say I'm on hold for a particular listing. What happens normally if you go log in as a particular member, and I'm just going to log in as these guys, either for on hold or for not activated, there's this little thing that appears at the top of the dashboard when you're logged in, and it kind of gives you notification of your current status, right? And so what I suggested is they add one, like a downgraded one that has an additional status that opens up a new little widget like this, but it would be for downgraded ones only. And the reason for that is I think it's obviously you always want to maybe upgrade them back, right? Or provide some incentive or be able to change this widget here, right? To be able to do something. But I would just say, your account is active but downgraded or something from its original level or something like that, to that effect. And then you can have a couple buttons here where it says you're required to update your category listings to match your current level or whatever. So they could just link to the listing details, so they could go force them to go pick the new categories. And then maybe having an upgrade button here where it says kind of like this, where it says update payment method, but maybe it just says upgrade to your previous status or something like that. So if they want to turn it back on later or whatever, it's just a call to action, right? To get them to go back up to the higher plan. Anyway, and then what I would do is when they load that listing details form, it would then basically delete all of the previous categories, right, that they were in, and then they'd have to go back and edit, add their categories or whatever to have any categories at all. And then and then because it has a status or whatever, you could also have a trigger email template, is what I said, where you basically have a downgraded email template, right? And so as soon as they're downgraded, then you could add some sort of upgrade kind of language in that, and you can have the wording in that downgraded email that would then say, click here to log in. You're currently in no categories. You will need to recategorize right with the two categories or whatever for your plan in order to show up now that you've downgraded. Something like that to force them to log back in. And then obviously, I think everybody knows this, like if you don't, it won't allow you to, submit the listing details unless you have the correct amount set, right? If you're trying to submit it with too many categories, it just won't let you do it. So,
yeah, well, that's an excellent idea, man. That's phenomenal. Can you make that happen by Monday?
Yakin is halfway there with that with a widget he's already got for adding new categories. So roughly what you said there, Ryan, about having forcing you to get rid of all the rest of them and sending emails saying you got to fill in the right number and that kind of stuff. Most of that he's already got. I haven't got it, but I went through it with him on a one-to-one.
Well, is this what you're talking about? This is his right here. The request categories. This one.
Yeah. So most of the is halfway there.
Yeah, I'll just give Yakin a pitch here. This is his request for category stuff. So let's say you wanted a request category there of multimedia, let's say podcasts, right? Like, I don't have multimedia podcasts. So you could just say, hey, I want that as the requested category. And then what it does after you submit that, I'll just show you guys in the back end what that does. So I see what you're saying, Toby, but it would take some modification. You don't actually have to request anything; you just have to actually update it. I think you mean the email portion, perhaps. But so now, if I go into the this subcategory request plugin here, what it basically does, it basically tells me that somebody has suggested a new category type, and it'll just be in the list there. So. So right there, somebody submitted the Berrycast, right, of a multimedia podcast as their category request. So you can kind of view their profile, right, just to kind of see what they're looking at. You can log in as them, and and then let's say you make the category, and then you can log in as them real quick. Once I add this to the categories, I can log in as them and add that, and then I can just click email the member that I added the category for him and changed it, and then you can just remove it from there. So it's kind of a little task action profile there for new category requests. So
that's pretty cool. I mean, we have that set up on the site, but just goes to an email, like a contact form.
Yeah,
and then
that's my low end version, right?
Yeah.
the free or cheaper version.
It works now. I mean, because we don't get that many. We have so many categories. There's not that many more to suggest, but.
Yeah.
Brian, can I interrupt you for a minute?
Yep. Hey, Scott.
I need to go, but I just want to ask you on my video if you could switch out the woman who you did on my original video.
Yeah.
And make her a little bit smaller. And if you take some extra time to tweak wherever you think is necessary, I'm happy to pay you for the tweaking.
Okay.
And maybe maybe substitute her for President Trump or something like that. He's not busy these days.
Let's go watch your video.
Just let me know when it's done, okay?
Rick loves Trump. or an aging rock star.
You mean the bloated yam?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Paul had a quick question here. We'll do, Frank. I appreciate it.
All right.
Paul had a quick question. Have a good one.
Right. Bye-bye.
Paul
Bye,
said,
everybody.
See ya.
See you. If a client doesn't pay, does the system suspend them, or is it done manually? Okay, so on that question, give me a second here. I'll open up. Rich, I think your video is done here, so let me go play the video here.
Oh, cool. Is this the world premiere? You had to wait for Frank to leave, I guess. Yeah. So he wouldn't feel.
No, yeah, it was totally coincidental, but
right. Didn't want to show him up, whatever. Yeah, I understand.
All right,
Come on,
so here we go.
And this is that widget you were opening this webinar with. Before we got
This
started.
one's really short. This
Yeah.
is just your drinking issue here. All right, here we go.
My drinking issue.
Hi, my name is Rich. We like podcasts. We have big time directory. Sorry, I've been drinking 3 beverages, so I'm a little tipsy.
In mid-sentence, he loses his train of thought. That's classic. I call it a brain vacation.
Hi, my name is Rich. We like podcasts. We have big time directory. Sorry, I've been drinking 3 beverages, so I'm a little tipsy.
We have a big time directory. And down, Mark Cuban. Yeah. That's classic. That's awesome.
All right. So Paul was asking the question about downgrading. So in your advanced settings, well, let me go look at the question to make sure I get this right. Does this suspend them or is it done manually? Yeah. So, I think actually I was mentally thinking of a different question. Let me go over this question. Anyway, this is the cancel option here. So it is if you go to advanced settings, just type in cancel. You can choose what the membership status is changed to after requesting to cancel. So that automatically it's normally set to canceled or deleted. You can actually just make it on hold or not active instead. So it's kind of up to you. It just changes, what it says in their dashboard, really. If you however you have that set up, you'll just realize that you have the option of, changing it however that is set.
To dive a bit deeper into that question, if they, for whatever reason, they paid for a year, they come to the end of the year, they should be, resubscribing, and they decided to, or they changed their credit card, or they've decided not to go ahead, but they haven't gone down the route of closing their account or cancelling. What happens? Is it at that point? Is it automated that they get they'll get various emails. I'm aware of that because you can set that up. But will it actually physically stop, or what will happen?
Okay, I missed the first part of that mentally there. You said when they haven't renewed or whatever, they send the emails out. But what was the initial part of the question?
So the client has paid for a year, and it's got to the renewal part at the end of the first year, right. And they've got the wrong credit card in the system. They chose not to upgrade it. They chose to withdraw their credit card from the system, or whatever it might be. Now the system is trying to take payment for the following year. What happens if they can't take payment?
Okay, so in your and so let me answer Paula's question here real quick. I'm trying to think where that's at, and may have to come back to you on this one. This is I can't actually remember where this is at. There's a what happens to them if they don't pay, or if it goes past due. Do they automatically are inactivated or whatever? I'm just trying to find the one here of active. That's that one. I apologize. I'm gonna have to come back to that. Does anybody know? I'm actually drawing a blank on that one.
I don't know about the full automation, but I know, you can see on your dashboard who's past due, and then you can manually try to run the card. And if it doesn't, but there's email templates.
Here it is. Okay. I just couldn't remember the all the words I was typing in weren't pulling anything up. Okay. Type in past due. There's two settings in here. There's auto suspend past due member accounts. So that's just on or off. So if you do not have that on, it will not auto suspend. But and the reason I don't do that for me, and I'll show you why in a second, but there is in the billing settings where you can basically warn them when they are overdue. And so I usually let that process take effect until that third warning or whatever. And then that final warning one is me contacting them to say, hey, it's overdue here. I haven't got a response back from you. If I don't hear back from you in the next week or whatever, then I'm going to, suspend your account or whatever. Or you can just do this auto where you don't do any hands-on process. But the problem with that is, there's like no warning of your overdue stuff. It's just like, boom, it's suspended, right? So it's kind of up to you on how draconian you want to be on cutting them off or suspending them, right? So if you want it immediate, where they just get the emails and they know they're suspended, obviously that may do some damage there too. If they log in and see they're suspended and then they want to pay if it's immediate. So probably no harm or foul to do that if that's within your system there. But just turn that on if you wanted to auto suspend. And then this other one is suspend past due when they log in. And so this is kind of the opposite thing where they're kind of grandfathered in as they get those other warnings or whatever until you manually do it. But at any point, like they log in to use your system, like use it, where they should see the thing that they're overdue inside the system, you can suspend them when they log in at that point. So let's say I was waiting for the 3 weeks overdue. Let's say they are overdue. I don't auto suspend them, but 7 days after they're overdue and they still got a couple overdue notices that I was going to, have them send before I manually do it. If this is on and they log in after any of those days after they're past due, it's automatically going to lock them out at that point, because that right there was their opportunity when they're logging in to go pay the invoice. And if they decide not to do that, I'm going to lock them out at that point. So
are they getting a series of emails?
Yeah, so that's the next step. That's Toby's question. Let me go answer that real quick. So, in the finance and payment settings, and you guys need to have the API or the Stripe integration, whatever, set up, or you're not going to see this. It only gets turned on after you have something set up, but you will then have the additional settings up here. And if you have this add-on, it's an add-on. So if you don't have the VIPs, you will not have this. But this is one of the VIP add-ons. There's a billing email settings. And so if you guys have not set that up, you may want to go do this, but billing email settings. And what that does is it opens up a series of billing emails, both for new payments received, an upcoming payment reminder, just to let them know that there's an invoice coming due, or that, again, if the policy for your particular site is they have to pay before it's due, otherwise they're going to automatically be suspended. That's kind of their pay within the next blankety blank days, or you're going to be suspended kind of thing. And then there's 3 past due reminders, 1, 2, and 3. And so for each of these particular moments in time, right, whether they paid, they're going to pay, or haven't paid, you can email the member on or off. You can email admin on or off. And so you see for mine, I don't care until the third one. Like, I get some reminders and I only get notified on the third one. And then at that point, then I can go manually make contact to go talk to them. And so that's when I get notified. Obviously, other than just looking at inside the transaction stuff. And then you can also include that invoice PDF in the email, and then you can determine when that's getting sent. So let's say you're suspending them on when they get the mail. Maybe you want to email them 14 days before they're suspended, basically, just to kind of give them a heads up. You can do whatever you want. And then my past due are just the same day. Like, they don't pay when it's due, boom, instant. And so it's basically 2 weeks after that. So same day, and then a week and 2 weeks. And that's when I get notified. And then you can set those days all the way up to 90 days after, and you can do any variation thereof. And then each one of these email timings has its own email template that you can then customize and say, you have an invoice due in 14 days. Please pay it within the next 14 days, or your account will be auto-suspended. If at any point after suspension, you can log in and pay your invoice, and your account will be immediately activated again upon invoice payment, whatever you want to say, right? And you can edit each one of these templates to suit your tone of voice and or requirements for your website for each of those. And so if that has not been set up, that's kind of hopefully the answer to those 2 questions you had, Toby and Rich. Do you have any follow-up?
Wow. Yeah, I think I had seen these at one point in time, but and I have the VIP, so I had, until just seeing it, this was worth the whole cost of admission here today. This was amazing, because I guess I forgot about
the invoice. Keep talking. I'm just going to send the invoice.
Yeah, but this was awesome, because I just looked into as you were doing it, I looked at my admin. None of these are turned on at all. So nobody's getting any kind of reminders. I've been somewhat manually doing it. When I see somebody's past due, then I'll click on
this automates it. So you just get all those things, and hopefully get the money that people forgot that they weren't paying you.
Yeah, and I can see where, now what does it say that first one, new payment received?
That just lets them know, hey, we got your payment. Thanks for paying. You're awesome. Yeah. You could do the thanks for paying. As a reminder, we give, tell your friends about our service so they can get a 20% off coupon. Here's their coupon codes for your friends. Share the love. We love you. Thanks for paying.
So apparently we're not loving anybody at the directory, because I haven't. Wow, I'm looking at this is crazy. I didn't even realize those weren't turned on. Obviously, they don't want them turned on automatically, because you may not want. You got to decide as the business owner what the protocol, how you want it. Wow.
You got to
or edit the templates, right, to make sure it says what you want. But always do that.
Segue. You've got to go back to your business plan.
Exactly. We call that
redo the business plan.
Full circle here in the States. Yeah. Wow. So now I have a whole nother project to work on, but okay. So the earlier question that Toby was hitting on, because I think I've heard Jason talk about this in webinar at some point as well. I think it was a relatively new feature at some point, but where their credit card expires. So where and how does the system realize that? So you don't want to, say, Ryan, you're a bum, you haven't been paying. Is there an email or a sequence that says, because I get those, we've all gotten those from subscription services we're signed up for. Hey, your credit card's even they'll tell me like your credit card's getting ready to expire in a month or two. You want to make sure your credit card billing is like, I get that from GoDaddy. when my credit card get ready to expire,
Yeah.
they already know about it, and they'll say, "Hey, don't
There's
lose your
nothing like that in here, if that's what you're asking.
Say it again.
There's nothing like that in here. It does it automatically if it's expired. So let me
Because I
let me
think
go to the email templates there. It does do that if it tries to bill it and it does not. It lets it does flag that and kind of alerts after the fact. It doesn't do like a preemptive thing like it expires
ahead of time.
But if you just type in the word expire, so here's 3. It says billing error. So this is what it looks like. It'll say, "Dear so-and-so, we apologize for the inconvenience. We were unable to renew your account. It appears your credit card may have expired or is no longer valid. We want your company to receive as much visibility as possible. Please log into your account now to update your credit card information." So, and then just click.
So how does it know to send that one as opposed to they switched credit cards and or they just didn't?
Well, it doesn't matter. It just says
it leaves it open-ended.
Yeah, they may have expired or may no longer be valid. So
okay.
It just knows that it wasn't. There's a credit card in the BD system. There's a number there, like a credit card number, and then it just wasn't able to run it. Right. So something happened.
So how is that different than past due? Because
past due, they may not have a credit card in there. Like if you do a trial or do something else, or they can delete their credit card. So
that's right, yeah.
It could just be overdue. There's nothing to bill against because there's no credit card, and so the invoice just sits in there to have to pay. And so if they don't go in there and add their credit card or pay the invoice before it's overdue, it just becomes overdue. This one's not triggered because there was no credit card in there to try to run.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess you could kind of do a hybrid or tweak your email messaging on those automated ones to make it a little bit less abrasive of like, hey, maybe your credit card has expired or whatever. We're not sure what the challenge is, but want to keep you in the loop or.
Yeah, but you can add this language as well. All right, Mike. Mike, you said you had I think you were talking about the claim listings earlier. Maybe you have a new question on the upload spreadsheet. So can you jump on the horn here or type in your question? What's your question on the upload spreadsheet? Let's see if he's still in the room here.
No, he's still here.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to say something random on the spreadsheet then, and let me know if this answers your question. All right. So the upload spreadsheets, if you guys did not know, you can bulk upload people into your BD directory. So if you guys just go to the bootstrap.brilliantdirectories.com and /support, you can get into their support section. But if you just type in CSV into here, there's just generally two items there. There's one for the upload of categories, and then it says how to import members via CSV file. And so in that support section there at the bottom of that one, they have set up upload CSV files that you can just upload. Some have examples, some are just blank. But you can download that CSV file, and then you can just add your data to that. And the crucial part of the CSV files here are the headers, the top row for each column of data, because those have the variables that are in the database for the particular data. So it may be address 1, for example, and that's your street address. That first row of variables needs to remain the same. And then you put all your data basically in row 2 through whatever. And based on that column header variable, it knows where in the database to put that. So all the addresses for all the listings go in that address table, and they all kind of get portioned out into the right little places.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't get my mic active. It took me a minute to figure that out. Okay. Right now I'm starting with restaurants, and they're all coming under the master heading of food and dining. After that,
and when you say master heading, Mike, you mean top level category?
Top level, yeah, top level.
Okay. All right.
So the food and dining. Then underneath that, there are 187 or so subheadings.
Yep.
I want to try to go, and I just hadn't been able to figure this out, how to create, because food and dining covers, this is a college town, so it covers, fine dining to fast food to food trucks. So I want to have the type of restaurant or food and dining, nightclub, bars, that kind of thing as another category to define it, and then go into the cuisine, whether it's fast food or hot dogs or Indian food, that type thing. How do I create that, and then what search do I use for that? And then that spreadsheet, how do I fill that out to do that way?
Okay.
The spreadsheet seems to be only set up for top level, and then everything else is comma delineated in the other side. Correct.
So let me talk to that real quick. Can you guys see the spreadsheet or no?
I can. Yep.
You guys can see the Excel? Okay.
Yes.
So to answer Mike's question here, and this is a little bit confusing. So, they delineated it in this one. So if you guys download this one, the member import one, that's the one I just did there for the CSV file. That's what this one is. And it says it here in the profession category, profession name, profession underscore a name. It says the top level category associated with this listing. It has to match the spelling of the top level category in the system exactly. Okay. So sometimes I see that mistake where they add that in here and it is not spelled correctly, or it has to match exactly, or will not add that to the top level category automatically. If the top level category is not added correctly, it will then not add it to the proper sub-level categories, because the sub-level categories are based off from the linkage to the top-level category. And so if that is wrong, these will also not be correct. Okay, so just be aware of that. The profession underscore name is the top-level category. The services, and this is a little confusing, is both the sub-level and the sub-level categories. So, for instance, for your example, let's say you wanted restaurants, right? That would be your top level category. Let's say this is, ethnic cuisine, right? And then you wanted it in the sub level category of Chinese. That's how it would look like in your database. It would say restaurants, ethnic cuisine, comma Chinese. And although this is a sub-level category and this is a sub-level category, it will automatically know when it adds in the ethnic cuisine, or when it sees the Chinese, it will automatically align it with the ethnic cuisine. But you have to have that checked, the sub-level category, in order for it to have all three levels. And what I mean by that is it does not, it will put them in the right categories just by finding that exact name. It doesn't need to know the hierarchy. So, but it does need to have the full hierarchy in order to be added. So if you just have, if Chinese is under ethnic cuisine and you do not add the ethnic cuisine, it is not, you're not going to be able to drill down in that inside of the listing, because it's going to have restaurants, and then it's not going to be listed in the sub-level category because you didn't add it here. And it's going to kind of be using voting terminology, a hanging chad, right? Just off there by itself. It's not really attached to anything because you didn't do the intermediary one. So this column has to have both the sub and the sub-level category in there. And then that will automatically link it up to all three of those levels. Does that help answer your question a little bit?
Okay. Now, in filling that out, you did not put the top level that comes preloaded in this, says food and dining.
Well, you don't have to use that. So if you don't want food and dining, just delete the categories. Or what you can do is just ignore the categories in the BD site right now. And when you upload the actual listings, and I'll show you how this works here in a second. When you upload the listings, let me just go to the members and import members. There's an option in there when you import the members to override the categories. And so it doesn't matter what's in there right now. If you upload a new file, and it says create new member categories if they do not exist. And then you're just going to you're basically going to override that, if that makes sense. Okay.
Can I interject there?
Yeah. It doesn't actually override it. It just creates the new ones if they're not already in the database. So I'd probably delete the old ones first.
But you can also do two things. You can also do this from member categories by importing the categories.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking. Thank you, Toby. That's where I was like, I thought they had that in there. That's why I was thrown in there. My apologies. This one does add them in there. The override thing is in the categories, not here. I was like, they must have changed that. Remember that CSV file? Yeah, good.
Yeah, I have the preloaded categories already in there from BD. And they put all of the food and dining under the top level category of food and dining. So if I were to list the restaurant as a, let's just say it was a restaurant, and then they also have a bar. So I'm just trying to get my categories so that they all line up in search. Because right now when I've loaded up, some restaurants in there right now to play with it, and they're all coming under food and dining, and I'm not getting them to break out into other categories because they throw all of the types of restaurants in with the cuisines, and all in that 187 sub-level category.
Okay, well, I mean, Mike, you just got to have the category structure set up properly, right? So if you got the VIP add-ons or you have that uploaded, this answers the first question there of the import categories. It says delete existing member and top level. So when you import the actual categories, you can then override those. But this is to my point for you, Mike, is that if you have that CSV file, just go in Excel and edit the structure to what you want, and then re-upload that into here and get the category structure how you want it. So let me use mine as example on my site here for this, and this is my own structure. It's not going to match yours, but we can have a intelligent discussion on the category structure. I think just by visually looking at an example there, or we can pull up your directory, Mike, if you want to give me that. But I have all this already decked out in mine, so I'll show you how I do it for my local stuff here. So again, I have food and drink still, right? Top level category food and drink, but these are my sub level categories. So for restaurants, right? I have bar and grill, whatever, but I have ethnic food as a separate, category, whatever. So if it's Hungarian pizza, right, they would pick restaurants. That subcategory column would say restaurants, comma, pizza, comma, ethnic food, comma, Hungarian food, right? And so if you have drink and beverage, right, there's the bar and tavern. So if you're a bar, you would pick I'm a restaurant, diner, and a drink and beverage bar and tavern. That's how I work mine, right? But you can do yours however you want. But
that's exactly what I'm trying to figure in my head, how to make what I uploaded from BD look like and give me that flowchart of choices.
Okay.
So export the categories and do it in an Excel first, where you can see all of them.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that with mine real quick here, Toby. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do that, Mike, and for anybody else watching. And this is gonna be the last thing we'll do for today, just to let you guys know that, and we'll sign off because we're kind of at time here. So I'm just gonna log in as my other site there. I'm gonna export exactly what Toby was saying. I'll show you what mine looks like just to kind of give that visual. But if you already have it uploaded, or if anybody else already has it uploaded into the BD system, you can download what's already in there. And like Toby said, then you just edit it in Excel, get it to however you want it to be, and then just re-upload it and overwrite it like we mentioned earlier. So let me go into the other one real quick.
Hey, while you're doing that, Ryan, can you just maybe put in the chat? I think there was a code some type of widget code or whatever to insert their name. So pull their name in the email, and also their the URL for them to claim their listing, because that's the final piece to it, right? So because I'm getting ready to do another blast, Mike and I were chatting, is when you do a blast out to that list of 250 people, whatever it is, and say, hey, claim your listing. And then, but somewhere in the email, you have to put some type of code that'll direct them. They click there, and when they click on it, it goes right to their claim listing on the site, right? You showed that to me a long time ago. I mean,
I would just search for the welcome email or whatever that says click here to log into your account. That one.
I'm not sure for that. We did kind of I don't know if it was a custom thing, but I haven't done this in months. But early on, I did got a list and uploaded it, and it worked out great. But the one last little piece of information says, hey, Ryan, if you want to claim a listing, we've already kind of created your listing for you, because like what Mike is doing is putting all the restaurant information in there. When they click on it, it goes directly to that URL on the website, and then it goes to their profile page with potentially their logo, all of the information that you've imported, their address.
There's no way to dynamically do that, Rich, unless they're already in the system with their proper email, and you're emailing that person, from a profile that's already in the system individually. It doesn't just do that in bulk, I guess.
Well, we did that early on because I had all their emails and their names and their even their logo and their contact information, a little bit of bio and all that stuff. And so all the fields auto-populated. And then when we set the email list out, there was a very specific kind of code, and we just created it as a hyperlink. And it says, hey, Ryan, to claim your listing, instead of just going to the site, because anybody can start from scratch. But this had all their information already populated from the spreadsheet, and they clicked on the link in the email, and it's like, voila, it goes right to the page, and it had their photo in there, I'd
have to think about that, Rich, again. Maybe we downloaded something and we got the page ID or something off from after you already add them in there as a claim listing, and then grab that data and put it into the email list or something. I'd have to rethink about that. Yeah,
I'll go back to my notes and see if I can find it. I don't know if you knew at the top of your head. Sounds like your sponge will be full today. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to not lose my train of thought on what I was demoing here. So what you want to do is just go to your category list and just hit yes and export it. So I've got 2,200 categories here, but I'll just show you what that looks like after you download yours. Give it a second, and then I'll open up the spreadsheet again. Of course, this will take 5 times longer than it normally does since we're on the webinar. Well, while it's doing that, let me I'll show you. It's also in here. It's maybe the quicker way to do it. How to import categories via CSV file, and there's demos in here as well for the CSV files that are not as large. So let me go download this one. Maybe a little bit easier. Or maybe not. There we go.
Yeah, I put my restaurant, my businesses on the spreadsheet and changed it around to try to make those categories work. But I'm trying to make it where when the client gets on, it looks more like what you showed me up there. So how do I rearrange it to look like that?
Yeah, I'm just going to open this up real quick and show you. So obviously, you just have to have the categories, but have you edited that spreadsheet before? I guess is my question.
I have.
If not, I'll just show you. Oh, you have. Okay. Well, I mean that then all you just need to do is just add the categories in there that you want. Obviously, so it's easier said than done. But hold on, let me.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I only own.
Okay. So here,
I got you.
So here's this again. This is the order for this. So this is your food and dining, right? This is your food and dining on there. This is your restaurants. and then this is your Chinese, right? And so just spelled properly. I'm just going to leave it there. But so say this was your fast food. This was your mobile food or whatever. And under fast food, this is beefy stuff, right? Tacos. Right, but so you just do the order that you want. I want them searching food and dining, and then restaurants, fast food, or mobile. And if they click restaurants, I want Chinese, American, and whatever. I want beefy stuffed tacos. So I guess I'm confused. I guess by your I can't get it to look like just put it in the order that you want there with all the subcategories. And so
I had not done the category list. I was just trying to work on that spreadsheet and work with that, and it's flowed. So now I see how you change that. And so when we put this on the spreadsheet, and it's under food and dining, then you would go to, then it would say restaurants, comma, Chinese, comma,
Yeah, so this one would just need to be. This would be the food, and I see what you're saying. This is a little confusing. So this would be your profession name, right? Is food and dining, and then your specialties or whatever the other one was would be restaurants, and then Chinese.
Chinese.
Right? I'm just spelling it wrong. I was just matching that one. I was just trying to show you that you got to match it.
Yep.
So that's that second column. So this will be your first one: food and dining, restaurants, and Chinese. And then that, by doing that, when it gets into the system, it will throw it in that one and that one.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Next thing I'll need to talk to you about is setting up the registration form so that when they claim their restaurant called Gumby's Pizza, that I know their business name, because of the form I've got on there right now, that it only just lets them sign up as a member, but it doesn't say what they are, who they are, how to get in touch with them. It sends them right to the pricing page. So I'm still, like I said, still trying to figure out the basic thing to get my thing up and running. So
okay,
we won't do that right now. I'll keep working. And when's the next live webinar?
2 weeks on the 10th of June is the next one. Obviously, otherwise you can just ping me or schedule a call if you want to get it done before then. But the next webinar is on the 10th.
Okay. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, this would be a great VA service for somebody.